Welcome, race fans, back to Deviant Racing. My name is Webbo. It's been 84 years since we were last live with Deviant Racing. It's great to be back with you all. Hello to Kuros Kai and to Larry, of course, who straight away in the live chat be part of today's broadcast if you so desire. We're going to get ourselves ready for qualifying. Hope you're all doing well today. Happy Deviant Race Day, one and all. We are at Sardegna for the shortest configuration, configuration C at Sardegna for today's race. So we have a GTDPRO start, of course, to proceedings, and then we'll go into the GTD as well live later on. I'll just try and get you the driver furthest forward on the track. There we have it. It is Chaotica who is ready. Afternoon sun. It seems here at Sardegna, and we go for a no safety car race here today. Kuros Kai expecting 65 and 66 laps. Wow, that's amazing. And apparently it's Mercury's birthday. I don't always know whether to believe what Larry says to me. Driver's really touring on this outlap here, bringing the tyres in very, very gently. Not pushing to any great degree. Around the final corner we go. And Larry's saying that Chaotic was just in Le Mans, his home circuit, and now he's here in Italy. So fast helicopter ride there. Firing then down the start-finish straight. Very long section here. Two slow corners preceding and following that start-finish straight. We might see some overtaking. Highly banked first corner underneath the windmills, of course, in towards turn 2 and 3, which are just acceleration zones. The GT4s might get a little bit squirrely on the outside of that on hard tyres, perhaps later on. And then a 90-degree left. That didn't go to plan at all for Chaotica, unfortunately. Running through Chaotica's lobby, this is today. Sorry, yes. Chaotica and Comico are different people. We have apparently seen them in the same room at the same time. My apologies, Larry. I see a K and an O and an A, and I think it's Comicopa. Hi to Logan as well. Good to have you with us. The sun has suddenly dropped behind the cars. Zen with the fastest lap straight away. Floodie's about to cross the line in the very quiet BMW. That is Floodie in P5 then. Mack in a speed start. Crosses over the line, goes fourth. K Morris into second position. As we look through the order, Globas still to cross the line now. Second place for Globas, quarter of a second away from Zen's 53.141 seconds. Astonishing down in 8th. And then at the tail of the field currently, we have John Kai, 2.5 seconds over the course of a very short track. It's quite a decent amount of time, you have to say, in terms of a delta between the two. We'll join Zen, see if Zen is still pushing here. I think he is for a second hot lap. His second lap almost complete here, Zen. And another fastest time, that one faster by a further quarter of a second, stays on provisional pole. Globus stays second. Izzy knows, takes that provisional second place away from Globus, and Comicopa into pole by, again, a quarter of a second the gap. John Kai slotting in between as well to put himself in second place. And the second lap's looking very, very good and quick out here. Kuros Kai, just give me that information about Cowboy Bebop. I have no idea what that means, but that is what they're doing, the Space Cowboys team. We'll give you the standings in between the two sessions, I think, today, as Comicopa in P1 so far. That would be a very welcome pole position for Comicopa here. Still pushing, of course, with these shortened laps. The tyres will be able to do 2, 3, possibly even 4 back-to-back hot laps without that tyre wet. Not going into the pit lane. One of the drivers in front of them did go into the pit lane. Comicopa on this lap. Will it be an even faster lap? No, it's just a shade slower. So we'll watch the other drivers coming through. John Kai in P2 across the line and stay in second place. Didn't improve, but Globas to pole position then. 52.524 by 1.5 tenths of a second. Globas into pole position. Insane speed there on his fourth lap, third flying lap there for Globas. Hasn't gone into the pit lane yet. And the qualifying session is not even half done yet. We're getting close to that, of course, but not even quite at that halfway point. Globas in the lead then by 1.5 tenths of a second only. Let's have a look at Zen as he crosses the line. Zen was slightly slower that time out. This is on board with Preston, who is getting the benefit of a slipstream, but the disadvantage of a dirty air situation in the background there. Dives down the inside of the Lamborghini. Can't quite see where he is, that Lamborghini. There we go. Preston through. Comacopa pits for a new set of boots. Globas holds the pole position provisionally. Preston from 5th, stays 5th. I think was significantly slowed there on that lap, as we see. Zen next to follow, one of the Space Cowboy teams. Preston flying today, says Larry. How was yesterday, Larry, with your Le Mans run? Catch me up. I forgot to ask in Discord. So how did you get on? Zen into P4, half a tenth away, half a tenth better than he managed the previous lap. Zen on in that 4th position, no change there. You finished excellent. Well, that's a good stop. That's all you can say. Okay, fair enough. Were you driving and organising, or just organising? That one, Larry, I wasn't completely sure. There's a crash in front of that driver. Let's just have a check what just happened there. Was it Preston? Was it somebody else? It wasn't TX. It was the BMW in front of TX, who just got that entry wrong, unfortunately. It's funny, on the replay, the cars stop, but the windmills continue to turn. That's awesome. You organised 2 cars and drove. Nice. Okay, so Globas in the lead. Comacopa in P2. Junkai in P3. Zen in the pits at the moment. Has put fuel in the car. Why would you put fuel in the car in qualifying, Zen? He's going to give me some highly technical answer in the comments later. I guess he's retired. You wouldn't put fuel in for no reason there. I think he might have decided to quit out there. I can't park there, says Nate. Absolutely. This is Junkai P2 right now. 2.5 minutes of qualifying left. Globas leads Comacopa. 52.524 is the pace of the field at the moment. This is Junkai. He's going to be hampered by cars in front of him. We'll ride with Comacopa though and see if he can get anywhere. No, that's 4 tenths of a second slower than he's managed at his absolute best. Here comes Globas into the pit lane. Is there time for an outlap and another hot lap? I think there may be, but only just 8 minutes have elapsed of qualifying. Quite naturally. 2 left to go, plus the overage, but you've got to have crossed the line before the checkered flag to have your lap count. Nine hours of torrential rain. Was that? Wow. So there's 2 splits, presumably, on iRacing, and the splits had different weather conditions, did they? This is Comacopa P2. Can we make an improvement here? Downhill racing now. Comacopa is very much able to make this one work, this lap. He's only 0.05 of a second slower than he's been before. That's a monster final turn, potentially. It's just a 2-sector track here, given its short nature, I believe, anyway. And here we go, powering out of the final quarter to the line for Comacopa. And it was better by 7 thousandths of 007, a James Bond gap for Comacopa, but it wasn't enough this lap anyway. Let's see Globas as he goes to cross the line. There was a big mover there, Aussie, and Preston as well. Preston up to 4th position. This track favouring the Preston car combination there. There were 19 splits and all had varied weather. Wow. That's incredible. But yeah, unfortunate that one car had a lot more rain than the other. Junkai in P3. As he runs through. That's Junkai quicker than he's been before, but knocking on the door of that front row start potentially. 10 seconds to go. Everybody starting those final laps. I don't see Junkai making it before the clock goes dead. Runs so wide, almost in the pit lane here. There the clock goes dead. The checkered flag comes out, and Junkai goes fourth. Izzy just pips him up to P3. Is Comma Copa still pushing? Glovas is finished. Let's see Comma through. He has to go through one more left turn here before we see him continue neatly. Just need to double check conditions here. Just concerned that we're a little bit late in the day and we're going to finish. Yeah, it is going to be evening race, so I'm going to have to increase that exposure for the finish. Here is Comma Copa to try and take pole. No, it's not going to be. It's only a 10th and a half off the pole position time. Izzy gets Comma Copa at the end there. Izzy crosses the line and takes the front row away from Comma Copa. The clean side of the grid might help Comma, or at least the favoured position on the way down into turn one. But Izzy just gets Comma Copa, our two VR superstars out there. I believe Preston is as well. But Glovas takes the P1, a 52.426 in his Chevy, in his Crayola Chevy. Then we've got Izzy in P2, Comma Copa in third, and Junkai in fourth. Speedstars TX Variety is in fifth, with Preston in sixth. Aussie and Zen. Zen was on pole at the start of the proceedings, but unfortunately down in 8th position now. Chaotica in 9th, Machina in 10th. Then we've got K Morris, Astonishing, and Floody bringing up the rear of the field. 13 drivers. We do not have a safety car driver, of course, so we don't fill that slot necessarily. I can hear Larry giggling already as I say that. Let's have a look at the current standings in the championship then. On the left-hand side of the two groups of driver positions, you've got Zen leading the championship after 2 rounds, ahead of Tex and Glovas. Comma Copa in 4th, Preston and Izzy in the Jaguars in 5th and 6th positions. Then comes John Kine 7th, K Morris, Astonishing, Chaotica, and Osmanian Devil. Floody, Vic, and Shiesty are on the bubble there to have to compete in the relegation promotion race post-season. Chaotica confirming there, thank you. We've got a 2-minute break then until the race. Then we've got Team Texas at the top of the team standings ahead of Crayola. Pod Racers, Maple Start, the ODs, the original Deviants with Space Cowboys, Team Anaerobic Naturals at the rear of the grid as well. We haven't had any GTD racing so far this season on the channel. We're going to put that right today. So yeah, we will be back on in just under 1 minute's time for the main race, of course. As we'll just get you into that lobby. I just need to change the exposure because I will forget that. We're going to go for an extra bright start so that we get some sort of visibility to the cars at the end of the race. That was just confirming your qualifying positions then in the top 8. Super close. It's a short track, absolutely, but still 1.1 seconds separating the entire field here of GT3 cars. This is the GT World Challenge top tier, the GTDPRO top tier of racing at Deviant Racing League. There should be a link in the description today if you want to join Deviant Racing League, and hopefully you've been able to see that super chat, or the thanks button, is available in the live chat today, as well as is the chat leaderboard positions. Currently Larry is in 2nd place in the chat leaderboard, despite contributing 90% of the chat so far. Kiros Kai just has it. He was there first, and I think that counts for a lot. So we're ready for the race momentarily. I'll just double check our weather situations. What are we looking at? Random, and it's an evening start with 4 time multiplier on today. So 60 minutes of racing await. Then we'll have a short break and get the GTD race broadcast stream on straight away as well. So 60 minutes ahead of us. I'd love to hear your predictions. Globas and Izzy on the front row of the grid ahead of Comacopa and Junkai, with TX and Preston. I'm going to have to be really careful not to keep referring to TX Speedstars as Speedstars, because there is another Speedstar, Machina, the factory. So where are we? We're 1 minute past the start time that we were predicted to have, and I've got a horrible feeling that the race started. I'm desperately sorry, folks. That's mental. It didn't give me a countdown as I'm used to seeing. Oh, well, okay, so after one lap, my huge apologies, folks. Globas leads ahead of Izzy and Preston, as they were. Pretty much Comacopa dropping back behind Preston, and now further. Comacopa going with his normal hard tyre start. It's costing him, though. Preston down the inside in the Ferrari as he has a look to that inside line. Preston goes ahead. Aussie follows him through, and Comacopa left floundering on the outside of the run there of turn 1. Aussie in P4. Comacopa down to 6th position, unfortunately for him, as we'll just have a quick replay of that angle. Comacopa just caught out there on the outside line, ends up being passed by 2 further cars after the initial pass. Then he gets one back, it seems, on Zen. Let's go back and have another look at that eventuality, as the cars are pushing hard. K. Morris was out on the gravel there. We get super close. What happened to Zen? He just got a little bit deep on the brakes into the corner, left him understeering wide out, and Comacopa rescuing himself a position once again. So Comacopa on the hard tyres, as is Aussie as well. Aussie looks to be the lead hard tyre runner. Globus, Izzy, Preston, all on the mediums. An absolute straight fight today. No safety car, so there'll be a very straightforward situations when it comes to the drivers' choices around those stint management. Hopefully it won't make for too dull a finish to the race, but we never know exactly what might go down. Zen looking like there's a tiny bit of lag between himself and Comacopa. That just necessitates the drivers taking an extra bit of care. That was Aussie going very wide through the final turn. And Zen gets a fantastic look at the back of Comacopa's car. Has a possibility of a slipstream here. The Lexus typically quite quick in the straight line. Comacopa trying to deny racing room there. Zen already had the nose tucked up inside. We'll have a recheck of that perhaps, because that looked very, very marginal, and they're squeezing one another. They continue to squeeze here on the way down into the tight left-hander halfway around the track. Comacopa back ahead then, and let's have a look at this from the perspective of Zen. He goes to the inside line. Was the gap there? It was, but the track is turning at that same point. Almost disaster, almost a real pinch point between the two. But I think Zen still behind of Comacopa. Zen on the hard tyres. Aussie, Zen and Comacopa, as well as Chaotica on the hards. Same tyre restrictions apply to the drivers. A change of compound, and there is one of our drivers. That's astonishing, making a big slip up on the exit of the final corner. It is looking like it's very low grip out there, lower than they were expecting at this point on the throttle, and it's just one of those horrible on throttle oversteer issues for Astonishing. No safety car to catch up here. He's going to have to rely on other drivers' misfortune, and flying through the grid then comes Globas in his stained glass Crayola creation. Izzy in P2. Going to have a really good look at this livery later on. Izzy in the Jag, and we've got Preston right there with him as well. Very unusual to see the Jaguar looking like a good car to race here, but currently second and third positions. Aussie in fourth. Go back to the Lexus of Comacopa in that 5th position then. Wary of his mirrors. Try and make those defensive moves a little bit earlier on this long straightaway. Just as it kinks slightly to the left is where they came into contact with one another last time round, and then again a little bit further back down to about this point on the track. Zen There's a very interesting looking livery there, disguising the shape of the Ferrari somewhat. We'll have a really good look at that later on. Behind Zen is TX and K Morris. Can't quite see K Morris back there. I know things didn't quite go to plan, but the Crayola Chevy ahead of the OD's second driver today, John Kai, racing through the final corner then. Very clumsy, slow corner up there. Makina substituting today in the Renault RS04. We've got Floody in the BMW. And then we've got Astonishing in the Lambo at the back there with some damage on that brand new all red livery for the team. This is Globas looking imperious out front, but the medium tyres, of course, will drop off earlier than the hard tyres of P4, 5 and 6, and I think possibly 7 as well. So clearly the medium runners did get away very, very happily from the grid. Komakopa losing one position back there straight away. Yeah, Globas trying to prove something to the doubters, says Larry. He really is on a mission today. Zen on board with Zen. Shall we go? As we chase down that bright green and black Lexus. You can't have a bright black, but you know what I'm saying. On the way into turn 1 and underneath the first of the many windmills here at Sardegna Sea. Good look at the inside there. It's not quite enough of a braking zone to make the challenge. It's pretty much going to be into turn 1 under normal circumstances here. Hint that maybe Aussie is looking a little bit slow through this middle part of the 8th lap. And then down into that final corner. Important traction zone out of here. We've seen cars go wrong already. I can't quite decide whether Zen was opening the steering or correcting the steering there on the way out. But Komakopa putting equidistant gaps before and after of him on the track here right now. So 0.6 of a second. And he's able to... That's a relatively comfortable position to have Zen behind you. I think Zen's going to go for an overtake at that kind of size of gap, but you can focus a little bit higher a percentage of your attention on what's happening in front of you. You've got to be spending a good, I would say, 80% of your attention on the apexes and exits, and then what's left, and a great walk through past Aussie, and that's Aussie going. Getting things a little bit out of shape here. He looked slow through this corner last lap. I don't imagine it's the tyres. Too much curb. Okay, lifting off into the barrier. Damage to the car for him. So Aussie then will struggle with the grip here. Can he hang on in front of his teammate right now for North America United? Our race team, the Maple Stars. Zen behind in the stealth matte grey fighter jet livery as he comes through as well. We've got Chaotica in 7th and then TX back in 8th position at the moment. At the head of the field it's Globas, Izzy and Preston ahead of this group, but there's a pretty big gap of 6.2 seconds, which is well within the pit stop delta of the hard and medium tyre options here. Will the drivers elect to get off the mediums as quickly as the drivers who are on the hards get off the hards? We will wait to find out, of course, as we have a look back to the rest of the grid. Then we've got TX in 8th, K Morris in 9th. This is K Morris to the inside. And ahead by the time they get to the braking zone, all the way ahead. Was that a penalty potentially there for TX in the Renault? I don't quite know why he suddenly slowed. That would be my suspicion. Both cars able to almost pass here. Junkai in 10th. Hard tyres. There goes TX onto the gravel on the outside. Junkai couldn't quite capitalise, unfortunately, to make the pass this section. But he'll definitely be smelling blood outside, inside, keeping the driver in front of you, guessing in the mirrors, and a dive down to the inside line on the final corner, compromising his exit. There goes TX running super wide into the pit lane. Junkai could have lent on him into the pit wall there, but he chose not to, which is great. Legitimate social racing tactic there with that situation. We've got TX in 10th, Floody in 11th, Mack in 12th. Astonishing at the back with his early accident into the barriers on the traction zone out of the final corner. Globus lead is 3.3 seconds over Izzy, who himself has a 3.8 second lead over Preston. Preston, the gap between himself in 3rd and Zen in 4th. And Komakopa and Zen, whoa, they were just catching the tail end of an issue there. Let's have a look. What happened here? Well, this is on board of Komakopa. We'll drop one car back, might get a slightly better view of this. Zen heavy on the brakes. Komakopa taking avoiding action. Komakopa could make an accusation of a brake test there, potentially. I don't imagine that was deliberate at all from Zen, but Komakopa will feel like that was out of rhythm. I think Zen was slightly offline on the approach, braked early for safety, and then Komakopa had to jink out to the right as they run in. So straight racing, says Kuros Kai. No safety car today. And yes, there are some experiments with safety car happening through the course of the season. 3 more rounds after this one, so just check in and make sure Aussie isn't losing the position. Next race on the 21st of June at Le Mans with the chicane, we have an unannounced safety car. So that will be for accident or incident, I think, or just when the safety car driver feels like it, if we don't have a multi-car collision. Then we go back to regular safety car rules for Monza, and heavy damage is on as well. Heavy damage in there, said Larry, just getting ahead of me there. It's going to be a massacre, he says. Sometimes you turn heavy damage on and drivers behave a little bit better, but it's almost impossible to behave around Monza. Then we've got Fuji Short on the 26th of July, and again, another unannounced safety car. And what I'm not clear on just yet, and you guys can help me, is whether that means we will have a safety car, but it's not going to be confirmed when, or we don't know if we're going to have a safety car unless we have a multi-car collision, or safety car driver gets a little bit itchy throttle foot. Globus leads 3.9 seconds. I did see some clips from Monza GT3. Yes, absolutely. Izzy in P2. I saw Super GT did a good stitch of it, which was as if he was in the driving seat and he had a steering wheel disconnection and triggering the massive issue there. Izzy in P2, Preston in P3. We've got Zen leading the battle pack here, which has swapped places over and over again. Komakopa are back in 7th right now. Might be slightly fuming Frenchman in the cockpit there after having had to try to avoid Zen into the final corner. Zen settling back into his pace then, not having to watch his mirrors. Zen rocking the winning Le Mans hypercar race number from last year, the 83. So that might be a good portent for today. Zen in 4th position at the moment, the lead hard tyre runner, and has opened out a 1.4 second gap here to Aussie Chaotica Komakopa as they run through. This is lap 16 and minute 14-ish of the race. Again, another very late lunge there, potentially from Chaotica. Komakopa holding on, gaining a position, in fact, I believe, on the run through there. So Komakopa was slightly behind, finding a little bit of space to the inside line there. That must have been a mistake from Chaotica to allow that overlap on the outside. But Komakopa getting a place back, and I think he'll be very pleased to gain that one. but Chaotica right with him. This is a hard tyre group here, who are, well, Comacopa is 20.7 seconds away from the medium tyre runners at the head of the field. There is Zen in his stealth fighter jet livery, with Aussie in 5th, Comacopa in 6th, and Chaotica in 7th. Junkai, bit of a distance away here, 4.2 seconds from this pack, who are currently fighting. Chaotica in the Lambo, taking the widest exit out of the final corner. Because that's the pit lane, it's kind of okay to use. K Morris in P9, TX in 10th, Floody in 11th, Machina. Where is Floody? Floody in the BMW is fairly close here to TX. Headlights coming on for the first time then on the run down through lap 18. We are expecting to be into a sunset evening condition. So the brightest part of the day is behind us. Machina in 12th, Astonishing in 13th, coming off the hard tyres with a quarter of his tank of fuel remaining to him. No damage on the car to be repaired, so slightly unusual to see him get off those hard tyres, but maybe he feels like it's just getting too cool to use them. And this is going to be interesting because the top 3 have to use the hard tyres in the cooler track temperatures of the evening, now that the heat of the day is behind us, and no longer is the sun shining on the asphalt with quite the same intensity. 4.5 meters per second, almost tailwind down the start-finish straight today is going to make life very difficult heading into that corner. Zen in 4th and Aussie in 5th. Comacopa still ahead of Chaotica as we continue to track a potential move. A nice snaking section here in the middle of the track on the approach into this final turn. Comacopa feeling the need there to just take a narrower line into the corner. In normal operations, that would compromise him on the way out. I think it has compromised him on the way out. Here comes Chaotica. On the nose of Chaotica, shall we go? On the number 72 in front of us. Big gap behind, currently 4.2 seconds to Junkai. Straight up to about 90% throttle, Chaotica. He's comfortable with the hard tyres there out of a slow corner. Not utilising the full brakes. You don't want to unsettle the balance of the car too much on the way into that left-hander. This is about throttle management and positioning. There you see complete lift into the penultimate corner for Chaotica, trying his level best to get the latest apex possible through the hairpin at the end of the track, as Chaotica Comacopa in front of him, closing in on Aussie. Back to a 3-way battle here in the midfield. I wonder what Kuroskai is feeling, not being in the safety car right now. Presumably practicing for the next race, having the luxury of a bit of practice. Normally our safety car drivers are used from the GTD series and then they swap over, but it's not a short straw situation. We tend to have a fairly permanent safety car driver for the season. Very tight there between Comacopa and Aussie. Hint that perhaps Comacopa got into Aussie as Aussie peels off into the pit lane after 21 racing laps, and he gets off the hard tyres. Aussie out of fuel. That's the explanation. So we do have to pit for fuel. The hard tyres will not run to a wear point here today. The mediums are barely running out before the tank of fuel has gone. Globus into the final 10% of his fuel. Likewise, Izzy. Preston not yet. Might go slightly longer there in the Jaguar. And Zen on his own in P4. Run through the hard tyres, switch onto the mediums, be quicker then in the next 2 sectors. So it looks like we're going to be able to divide the race for most of the drivers neatly into 3 portions. And that will, of course, enable them to make just the 2 stops. Komakopa very late call into the pit lane compared to the car behind him. John in as well. So good to see the race management from our drivers here. Is K Morris going a little bit long? Has he got the engine turned down because he hasn't used anywhere near the amount of fuel? Compare that with Globus. I'm going to switch to Globus now. K Morris still has not even gone into the final 10% of his fuel allocation. I think he may have added a bit, but TX clearly did. This is the group of drivers who I think have had things not quite go their own way at the start. Normally here at Deviant they would be relying on the safety car between now and about 20 minutes to go to condense the field back up again for them. But it's not to be today. No safety car in today's race. Here is Makina. Izzy in P3 into the pit lane and receiving fuel and a new set of tyres. The fastest lap overall is with Globus of 53.025. Zen has pitted, come out of the pits on new medium tyres. Komakopa, same situation. And Chaotica got ahead of Aussie. Now Aussie had to pit earlier and get fuel on 1 lap earlier for Aussie, but normally you'd expect the undercut to work out for Aussie. It did not this time. It did not this time. It looks like the overcut or staying out longer than a driver was the way to go for that. So Aussie, perhaps that's all about the amount of fuel he had to put in, because he will be marginal at this fuel economy level. Aussie's going to struggle to make a 2-stop race, so he's going to have to make some sort of adjustment to his driving or engine modes. John Kai in 12th right now, astonishing in 13th position, just being lapped right now. But Globus comes into the pits after 24 racing laps. K Morris will blast by him. New race leader K Morris, the Crayola pairing, what P1 and P2. Right now, Globus will not want to be stuck behind K Morris, who's on older, hard tyres for very long. Globus on a brand new set of mediums. He will obviously have to use the hards in the final stint of the race, as the track is at its absolute coolest, but he will minimise that because he went 1 lap longer than the bulk of the drivers. So he'll end up with maybe 16 minutes or so, I would have thought, on the hard tyres rather than the even 20. Coordinated move here into the final corner. Could have done a little bit of bump drafting, couldn't they, for a couple laps? But here in goes K Morris. Then he will serve his first of his likely 2 pit stops today. The fuel just will not last out for a single pit stop. TX now back up into 2nd position, I should say. He's been preserving that fuel significantly. Floody and Izzy. Izzy, the first of the drivers who have pitted at this stage in this group. Globus is, of course, in the lead of the race, some 8.5 seconds further up the road from Izzy. This is looking at Floody in the BMW. I think it might be astonishing in the Lamborghini behind, so out of position. And Izzy in the Jaguar just behind this run. Number 14 for TX there in the Renault R4. Now in 2nd place as Floody finally pits. Good fuel management from Floody, but the Renault RS04 of TX has gone longest, I think, here without needing the pit stop. He has turned the engine down. He's been on the hard tyres this whole time and he's saved plenty of fuel. His gap to Globus 6.4 seconds, but that is a standout stint from TX, I believe. That puts him in a very happy place. Wasn't in a rush to pass other drivers, and I think spent his time instead managing the fuel wear. Maybe even decided to turn the engine down for a few laps while he was stuck with other drivers to buy him this fuel offset. And that is going to really help, especially at the very end of the race when he can elect to put the minimal amount of fuel in and therefore cost himself the minimum amount of time stationary. This is Izzy, new livery today for the pod racing group. This is I believe Anakin Skywalker's yes, I think that's Anakin Skywalker's Naboo Starfighter looking car there. Very smart. And you've got similar design, but this is Obi-Wan Kenobi's. Very, very cool. Plenty of Star Wars joke stickers on the car as well. General Grievous even on the side of the car there. We've got Obi-Wan on that side. Very smart from our designers. Kuroskai is saying he added a secondary fuel tank. Did TX? It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? He goes through to finish lap 28, start lap 29. Wow, this is amazing fuel management. You can see he is losing a little bit of top speed. He can't surely be trying to one-stop this, can he? I would have thought this was just to be able to open the possibility using the softs at the end of the race, for example. But we're nearing half distance here on one tank of fuel from TX. So without the benefit of the safety car nullifying the first third to half of the race, this has opened up a new strategic option potentially for TX here. Everybody else driving, I think, a 10/10ths and fuel mix, richest fuel mix, I would imagine. But I think TX has been just knocking that back a little bit. Whether he's able to use the mediums for half the race or just continue this. He starts lap 30 now, still hasn't got into the final 10% of his fuel. He's in second position, currently circulating a 54.9 to Globus's 53.0. Globus just sprinting this race, start to finish, 2 stopping, lights to flag, and here goes Izzy. No, that is actually an unlapping car. I think that's astonishing. Unlapping himself and then ending up going full circle. Now that was a very odd one. Goes for the inside, almost looked like he was pit maneuvered by TX here. But he ran out of space and then he's just helped into a little spin. And then he's helped even further with contact from the Jaguar. The drivers might be feeling like that is less than ideal. I think the situation was TX operating slower than Astonishing, or certainly very close in pace to Astonishing, to TX, but shouldn't really be making contact with drivers who are at the front of the race in the podium contention. That has hurt both TX and Izzy. TX has finally gone into the situation there. Yeah, so Larry's saying that was on Astonishing for overslowing into the corner. Well, indeed, but you have to be extra careful if you are unlapping yourself from a blue flag situation as well, because it is the unpredictable thing that catches the drivers out. The faster drivers, they do not expect a driver a lap down to be intervening in a battle there. You can see how close TX gets to the pit wall. But Kuroskai just making the point that you get different braking zones between the different cars. This track does seem to be exposing significant car handling differences. Definitely agree. Both cars though mid-engine rear-wheel drive, so it's not a it's not basically like a Porsche versus a I don't know, VW or something. It is still the same configuration of engine and drivetrain. Currently Izzy looking very good on the way through here, just catching TX, feeling like his pace is being hurt now. 54.2 his last lap, Izzy. I know he can go quicker than that. Globus 53.0 best, 53.2 the last 2 laps, and a 53.3 the one prior to that as well. Izzy coming out of here. So TX is definitely holding these drivers up. He's doing what he needs to do to get into the second half of the race. He has done so. I think he might be able to now turn the engine up after this lap. We are just on the halfway point when they cross the line next time round. So just managing that fuel. and I think he'll have to run in the same engine mode for the rest of the race. He's 18.5 seconds away from the lead, but he has put himself into podium contention, no doubt in my mind now, thanks to making this call here to try and one-stop this race. How quick or slow will he be at the end of the race, I wonder? And will it all be for naught? We shall see. Into the final corner we go. Very different lines there. You saw the Lexus and the Jaguar going very narrow into the corner, and most other cars are starting a little bit wider. Our last pit stop with 1 litre of fuel remaining is with TX Speedstars, and my apologies to Glovas. I've not been able to give him the love on the livery or his car here so far. He's handcrafted a stained glass livery on here. You can see stained glass number 1 for the car. He even did a Webbo in stained glass there above the Rays sponsorship. And the Crayola is much more subtle, the stained glass effect, but appropriate for a track with a visible church on the track side. This is the stained glass edition of the Crayola. I don't know if that is a genuine Crayola crayon edition or paints edition or something that I'm unaware of, but very cool livery after his dot matrix style version last time round. Really enjoying the creativity, especially from Glovas this season. So the Chevy looking very, very good out there. Given that it's stained glass, he might well be asking for donations soon enough. We've got that's Floody in the BMW, who's just been lapped. Let's have a look back then to see. We've got Preston in P3, just making use of the gravel on the outside of the circuit. Won't do his tyres any good there. We're now into the second half of our GTDPRO race, round 3 of a 6-round only championship. I believe we don't run a drop score on a 6-round championship, but I could be wrong. There's a yellow flag on the circuit right now. I can't see who was slow. It's a pretty temporary yellow flag there for a moment. Comacopa is in 5th after starting in 3rd position, but has this chance on the medium tyres. 25 seconds away from the outright lead by Glovas. Comacopa 53.8 his last lap. I think any lap times in the 53s while we've got these cooling sunset conditions are going to be very handy. Chaotica keeping Comacopa very honest, which you love to see as well. John Kai in P7 and Aussie in 8th place, right with him. Aussie in the Ferrari 296. Let's join him on board, shall we? Sorry, that's not the 296, that's the 458 Italia. Livery doing a great job at hiding the shape of the Ferrari here. Again, interesting lines, interesting braking points. You can see Aussie was miles faster into the final corner, but it's evened itself out by the time they get out of the corner. Junkai slow in, fast out his approach, and Aussie fast in, deal with it mid-corner and hope for the best. his racing approach, certainly on that run through. You can see and appreciate the camber of the road really well here on this camera. It sits as a gyro, so we kind of oscillate left, right, up and down. Way out wide there from Aussie. That was a bit of a Code Brown moment for Aussie. Excuse me, press the wrong button. Okay, back to trackside camera then as he drops back behind John Kai. John Kai can relax a little bit now, focus on the bright red Cowboy Bebop livery. I'm reliably informed. Zen is hot on the heels of Preston as well. Zen is riveting to watch today. Sorry, couldn't resist that one. Rather looks like a submarine rather than an aircraft, but I'm sure it is an aircraft. The 83. This is the Maple Stars, I believe. Down to the inside potentially. Certainly having a good look, and it helped the fact that the Jaguar in front of him put a wheel out on the gravel. Snaking middle sector. Very unusual track choice. We don't usually do a lot of short track racing at the GT World Challenge, so it's certainly very interesting from one extreme to the other. Of course, the Nürburgring Nordschleife previous race, but good to mix it up, and should expose different strengths and weaknesses of the different GT3 cars we have in operation. Zen to the inside in the Ferrari, and nice classical overtake there from Zen. No big fight coming from Preston. This is using the slipstream. Medium tyres, relatively, I would say, light on fuel here for Zen. Just navigating his way to the inside line, not being blocked either. And Preston letting him go to a certain degree. Tactically, that might be very smart to minimise your losses to the cars behind. Preston on the hard tyres, that will have fed into his decision making there. As we near, of course, the second pit stop for most of our races, and that is when I expect TX to suddenly start coming into things here. 54.5 his last lap. It is quite slow. Now he's on the medium tyres. He's not significantly faster than he was on the hards, but he is playing the tortoise one-stop approach to the Mad Hares, the rest of the field, who are two-stopping aggressively this one. This is actually not a good viewing racetrack, says Larry. My apologies. It is a struggle. Yeah, nice 43 to 44. I think you mean in terms of laps. Yes, for the pit stops. I'm just trying to decode that one. There is TX. 1 minute and 5 away from the leaders. So at this pace, it's not going to be enough, I don't think, to certainly challenge for the lead. He may have a chance at challenging for the podium, though, because Glorious's lead over Izzy is 23.5 seconds. So really, we need to be looking at Izzy and Zen versus TX here, I think, today. And in that respect, Zen is sticking the nose in a very small gap right there. And I think just eased off the throttle, but given Izzy plenty to think about on the way into the corner. Sometimes we get some nice camera angles, but they are the exception rather than the rule. So here at Sardegna seat, just lots and lots of Sardegna signage in case you were going to forget where you were. Zen fully to the inside there, might be slow away from the turn. And yeah, is he getting the better exit, going much wider? But as he cuts back in front of the 458, it will help Zen and his bid here to try and make the overtake again. Just showing himself in the left-hand mirror of Izzy. Good close running here. Preston bringing up the support here to Izzy. Preston needs to get up into the mirrors of Zen. Both cars there having a small moment. Izzy the bigger one though, and Zen straight through and ready to capitalise. From Zen's perspective, it's almost disaster into success, because they both come into this corner overspeeding slightly. They both get understeer. Izzy though much worse, and Zen just carrying the momentum through. Tiny little tap on the brakes just to encourage the nose into the corner through that second half of the race. Out of the pits comes one of our Lamborghinis, our Cowboy Bebop. But Zen is well ahead now of Izzy, and Zen is defending his second place potentially here from TX. So we will see some more pit stops coming within the next lap to, I would say, 4 laps time. The 2 stoppers will be all in. There's Chaotica, who has not pitted recently. But they are absolutely marginal. At full engine mode, these cars are marginal even for the 20 minute of running. Here is the North America United Maple Star livery for today, the white variant. The ODs is somewhat unchanged on John Kai's car. Komakopa continuing to have fun with his liveries though. K. Morris is in 9th position. He is dealing, I think, with Machina at the moment. This is TX in 10th. 1 minute 8 from the lead, but that is about 35 seconds, maybe 40 seconds or so from P2. And TX then taking a fairly gentle Sunday drive and hoping that that will save him that pit stop. Markiner in 12th, just being passed momentarily by the 74 and astonishing at the rear of the grid. Globas leads by 25 clear seconds. Zen has absolutely no breathing room with the Anakin livery as everybody bails off into the pit lane right now. So we may see some passes because some drivers have more fuel than others. Preston will be stationary for the least amount of time, I believe. So we may see Preston make an overtake. Some unnatural positioning at the moment thanks to the drivers' pit lane positionings, their actual pit boxes where they stop. There's Chaotic, everybody here in the midfield are in the pit lane. TX though, remember he was planning not to pit again. So this is going to be really important from his perspective. Heading into the final corner we go. 100 litres of fuel on board of Preston. He has been released from his pit box. And most of the potential places for TX to gain have now been taken away because TX is unfortunately unable to leapfrog the drivers while driving this slow stint here to try and one-stop this race. So unfortunately for TX, that really has not worked out at all. The lead is, his gap to the leader is still over a minute, but that's because Globas has not pitted yet. Looks like we saw Izzy get by Zen in the pits. So Preston has leapfrogged Zen and Izzy has done likewise, but Preston, who had the most fuel going into the pit lane, was therefore stationary for the least amount of time to have the fuel put into the car until it brimmed the absolute top of the tank. Izzy though feeling like he's got more pace for this particular run. Does he feel like a chat with the team is in order? I wonder. Izzy P6 in the championship, one spot below Preston at the moment, and so in terms of team harmony and making sure that you are the lead driver of the team, it's really important to stake your claim with the team boss here. Zen is in 4th position. I do find those sim racers typically get along way better as teammates than track racers do. That's partly because there isn't the resource share and proportion to enter into the conversation. Here then on board the nose of Zen. As we check out, we've got Izzy who's still got his blinker on there. That's because as a VR driver he doesn't see the blinker display. I'll confirm that in a moment, but I believe that it is the case. Zen looking for a way by the 182. Zen does like to just nudge the cars in front of him on his way to explore the limits. Yeah, this is the view for Izzy on the inside the cockpit. There's no display in the cockpit that the blinker is still on for him. Zen is in P4 then, chasing this group down. Globas leads Preston and Izzy, the two Jaguars, as they try to put a lap on the Renault RS04, I believe, of Mardenborough. Here they go. Yes, and Girasko wants to issue a ticket here. So you have to let me know, guys, who are watching live with us, who are your Fantasy Deviants picks, and how is your team, your respective team, doing right now? We do have a fantasy competition for bragging rights, where you pick the different drivers. Try and make a solid stable of racers here. We've got Preston in 2nd, Izzy in 3rd. What I don't know is if that has replaced the very controversial power rankings from last season or not. Preston holding off Izzy. In front of them is not the Chevy. It is the Chevy of the leader. He is over a lap ahead of P2. That will even itself out now as they unlap themselves thanks to Globas taking the latest pit stop on the track. I believe, anyway. Let's just check out this, as Aussie looks like he's still marginal on fuel today in the Ferrari. TX likewise should be a-okay. Floody has not pitted yet. But of all the lead group, Glovas is the last driver to make his second pit stop, just following exactly what we saw earlier on. Will he be able to use the soft tyres for a final quarter of the race, heading in towards 15 minutes to go now, of course? Well, that's a question for me, whether he'll be able to do that or not. Preston in P2, Izzy in P3, and Zen in 4th. Komakopa right back there in the hunt for the podium in his all-new metallic gloss green accented OD's livery. While we're here, let's have a quick look at the livery. He always puts a big Webbo sticker on his car as well. And if we go on board, we should see Webbo on his race suit as well. He puts them right by the gloves on the sleeve, but I think it might be too dark to see properly. If I can look slightly down here, if we turn into another turn there, no, it is too dark to see, unfortunately. Thank you though, all the same, Komakopa, as we're in that sunset conditions. Driver still in the pit lane. Where is that? That looks to be possibly Makina. Tail there. Glovas exits the pit lane, turns through turn 1 as the drivers chasing him are exiting the final turn. Such is Glovas's dominance today. So who got Glovas in the Fantasy Deviants sweepstakes? Although it is a fantasy league, so it's not a sweepstake. You literally choose who you want and have a total budget of performance points for the drivers. We've got Izzy in 3rd. He was hot on the heels of his teammate Preston. Izzy might have just been having a look at the fuel gauge and questioning if he's A-OK for the end of the race, or at least the tyre wear level. Here is Zen on the hunt, as ever. Have a look at this riveting livery from Zen today. Severed steel. Very light Webbo sticker, I love that. Thank you very much to him. And here is the Scuderia Ferrari Maple Stars our liveries today. But yeah, very submarine or a fighter jet approach from him. Big Ferrari sticker on the back wing as well. But very cool from Zen. I think Zen does his own design work. It's not a Glovas design. Glovas always puts his slogan on the back window. If it's not fun, why bother? No, that is there. So it is a Glovas one. Let's have a look. You can just see it. It is the smallest version of that sticker I've seen yet. But yes, that must be a Glovas design then for him, as Glovas and Preston. By the way, Glovas hasn't found shortcuts for these dot matrix and stained glass approaches. He's literally hand building these stickers and paint effects for the car. He's shown me some of his work in progress, vectorized photoshopping skills. It's actually quite remarkable. I thought he'd found an easy sort of overlay with dot matrix sort of reveal, almost like a net sticker to put over the entire car, but oh no, that would have been way too easy for Glovas, who hand built all the logos and stickers that he wanted to use and uploaded them for that purpose. Astonishing is at the back of the grid at the moment. 1 minute 42, might go 2 laps down before the end of the race. Clearly Glovas is close to that, but it is absolutely all to play for here in the for the podium. There goes Izzy, super wide once again, using every bit of the pit lane he can without putting in too much steering angle on the way through the next few corners. And this is a full headlight run then in towards the evening in Italy. Sardegna, I believe, is somewhat close to the border of France. Italy. Here. Into the tight left-hander then in the middle of the racetrack. All looking quite straightforward, but we've seen how easy it is, especially in this section of the race and the approach to the final corner, just to make the slightest little error. As he didn't look particularly happy and smooth going into the braking zone there. running wide once again. Does like that line. It does seem to buy him a car length or two relative to the cars in front and behind of him. Why they're not copying him, I'm not quite sure. Kuros saying gap to Globus is starting to close a little bit. Gap to Globus 15.5 seconds because he's had to put the hard tyres on now. 53.9, 53.5 his last couple laps, and 53.2 and 4 and 5 for Preston in the previous 3 laps. So absolutely good spot. Thank you, Kuros Kai, but I don't think it's panic stations just yet. It's just the difference between using those hard tyres now that Globus has to go. It was 17 seconds when he exited the pits last time. It's now 15.4, exactly that, yeah. But that is a calculated situation. Globus doing the hard work, so he didn't have to defend positions on the run through to the flag here. With 10 minutes remaining, he still has a over 15-second gap, despite the fact the cars are able to operate maybe half to a full second a lap faster than him at this current time. But at the end of the stint, with about 3 minutes to go, those medium tyres will not be faster than the hard tyres. So just playing a waiting game here, relying on the gap he's built up. Doesn't need to worry about safety cars, of course. That will come later in the season. Rounds 4 and 6, we have unannounced safety cars. Round 5, we have regular deviant rules that we're all used to. A declared random rolled safety car in between qualifying and the race. The declaration is made, but it can't be too late or too early, so it's always around and about the halfway distance. Here goes Izzy to the outside. Zen once again, so still not copying that line from Izzy, even though it does look like Izzy gets away slightly, and it's enough then to put Zen far enough back that it's difficult to make the overtake on the way in to the first corner, which is the best opportunity here. Then trying to draw alongside. Izzy placing that Jaguar nicely to the inside, covering off the moves. Just sticking in the middle of the track at the moment, Izzy. So he's going to slow him relative to his teammate, but not so much as defending thin air and getting overtaken as a result of watching your mirrors too much and missing your braking zones. So Izzy narrow again into this tight left-hander at the end of the track, onto the throttle, over the white line, into the pit lane, back onto the racetrack. As we keep seeing, and there you see again, the gap opens once again by a good 1/10 of a second or more. Komakopa is on the back of this group, but isn't looking like he's going to be threatening, perhaps just biding his time, saving his tyres and fuel for an aggressive run in the final few minutes. Globus still leads, still by more than 15 seconds. It's only dropped about 2/10, and he has had to lap another driver at this stage. Here is Preston. Absolutely flying today, Preston. Very impressive. The gamble doesn't appear to be working right now for TX. He has the fastest lap of the race, which is a surprise to me, because he was racing with the engine turned down for the first half to one stop this, but the one stop appears to be significantly slower than the two stop. Hasn't been able to make the difference with track position as much as he would have liked to. There is Aussie, hot on the heels of the stained glass Crayola livery of K Morris. Haven't looked at this Maple Stars livery yet either. I'm not quite sure. It looks like it might be egg, but I'm not sure what is dripping from the top. Is it fuel? Is it petrol? Petroleum? Potentially. The mix of fuel and diesel. I don't know what is happening with that livery, or it's just there for fun. But something has been spilt on the roof of the car, and it hasn't been cleared up. Yeah, this is Aussie for the Maple Stars team. What's that you say? Another American and Canadian connection? Yes, indeed. They're coming up with more and more names for essentially the same thing here at Deviant. Teams named after the largest two North American countries. Globus, 14.5 seconds now. He has had a terrible amount of traffic to pass on this one. It's maple syrup. Of course it's maple syrup. What am I like? It just looked a little bit red. Can you get red maple syrup, Jim? I'm sure you can get any colour of maple syrup if you try hard enough. National dish. Why didn't I think of maple syrup? But nope, says Jim. Not unless something has gone terribly wrong with the maple syrup. It shouldn't be red. It might be the exposure setting I've got on the camera so we can see the cars nicely. It was designed by an American. Shots fired. Preston, P2, half a second in front of his teammate Izzy in third. Zen is fourth, at 0.8 of a second away. Comacopa must be a similar gap. It is. These drivers will be sick of driving with each other at this stage. 5 minutes to go before we get that checkered flag to bring the race to a conclusion. I hope everyone in the live chat is happy with Kuroskai taking P1 in the leaderboard for the chat today, because he's walking it right now. Getting that first comment, I think, seems to help a great deal. Larry's had nothing insightful to say for quite some time. In fact, a good 20 minutes, Larry. Izzy in third then, still taking that even wider line. Comacopa's kind of taking a similar line there. It's quite notable that that Zen is absolutely not. He prefers to start the corner wide and finish it narrow. Just feels like there's a little bit more grip there, but just visually it looks like it is working for Izzy and possibly for Comacopa. Izzy is gaining on Preston here, and that's a little bit uncomfortable for now. This is Pod Racing team principal. 3 minutes 33 to go on the clock. It's lap 62. The prediction earlier was a 64 or 65 lap race. We will have fewer than that for the GT4s. It will be nearer the minute mark, the hot laps, I would imagine, for the GT4s. So maybe an even 60 for the GT4s. Of course, we can make those predictions quite comfortably, knowing that we're not going to be interrupted by a safety car. Chaotica's in 6th at the moment, 8 seconds back from Comacopa. That looks insurmountable. Junkai in 7th. Followed by K. Morris in 8th, Aussie in 9th, TX in 10th place, one stop in the race, although he is now on soft tyres. Did he actually try and do half the race on soft tyres? But he did help him to the fastest lap of the race. Floody in 11th, Makina in 12th, astonishing at the back at the moment for some points for his Cowboy Bebop livery. Haven't actually spent any time looking at this one. Perhaps chosen a bit too late to look at it. It's very simple. It's red. So yeah. Thank you to the Cowboy Bebop team for a new design to look at. Okay, thanks, Larry. Chosen your factoid of the day to shower us with at the moment. Just 1/10 of a second separating Izzy and Preston. This is team bragging rights. This is team resources that this is going over. Preston leads Izzy in the championship. No team orders at this stage. Izzy deciding that now is the time to apply the pressure. He likes a narrow line into this final corner that they're coming up to, sort of at the highest point of the circuit here. Zen having a look down the inside as well. And Izzy gets the power down off almost onto the grass there. But as the first time there, the pressure for Izzy starting to show. The rear tyres letting go slightly on him. And for one of the first times we've seen, Izzy has not been able to pull away. Well, certainly, Larry, it gets you into P2 in the chat leaderboard today. But Izzy was so close there. What's Jim questioning there? Is it Larry's fact, I wonder? 1 minute to go then in the race before the checkered flag falls. Leader is going to start lap 66. And certainly Izzy and team will be hoping that doesn't execute order 66, doesn't get added into the mix here today. Comacopa into the final corner, about to start the final lap, and he's almost level with Zen. Was unable to take his normal wide line, but the Lexus with the straight line speed advantage possibly over the Ferrari 458 Italia. Can we see an overtake heading into the first corner? Then this was, they were close together early on. A little bit of paint has already been traded between the two of them. No way through just yet. Looks like Glovas enters the final sector of the final lap on his own here. Just a few seconds left on the clock. No change looking likely for the Pod Racers team to a finish, but I tell you what, Izzy and Zen and Komakopa, this is far from decided just yet. I'm going to have to click away in a second. Can Komakopa get down the inside? Zen covers the inside. Glovas wins in Sardegna for the GTDPRO series. Preston and Izzy will make it Jaguar Pod Racers 3, 2 and 3. Oh, it's actually blending out of the throttle across the line. Preston giving it up there. I don't think he ran out of fuel, Preston. There's still fuel on the car. Zen in 4th, Komakopa in 5th. Let's just have a look at that again, because that was a big surprise to me. Here we have Preston on the throttle and then giving it to his teammate who was behind him in the championship. That didn't look like low fuel mode, but maybe it was. Wow. A very interesting finish there to the race. Then in 4th, Komakopa 5th, Chaotica 6th, Junkai 7th, K Morris in 8th, Aussie in 9th, TX in 10th, Floody, Machina and Astonishing rounding out your grid. For some reason, oh, he's run out of fuel, Astonishing. So possibly the worst race possible for Astonishing today. Running out of fuel and coming home in the dead last position. Glovas, Izzy and Preston. Slightly controversial finish to the race there for the Jaguar Pod Racers. Not quite sure what they were orchestrating, but Izzy gets the nod ahead with the R2-D2 navigation on board the 182. Preston in 3rd place. Zen ahead of Komakopa is how things have finished in today's race. I will get the next stream up as soon as I possibly can, but a big thank you to everybody for watching so far. Today we'll get the second stream, the GTDs, up for the first time this season momentarily. But from now, from me, Webbo, from us here at Deviant, thank you so much for watching. Hit a positive button under the video before leaving, and we will catch you on the next race day.